Hi, this is Shawna, your friendly neighborhood word witch, and I'm here to help you put magic in your manuscript. For those who don't know me, I'm a freelance editor as well as an author of 11 published novels, mostly urban fantasy and gaslamp fantasy or steampunk Victorian detective novels. This is the first in what will hopefully be an ongoing series of videos about on the writing craft. So please forgive any technical difficulties with the lighting and the camera. I'm just recording these right off my laptop. My goal with this series is to offer you little things that can make your manuscript better no matter where you are in your writing career. Often these are things that I see as I edit manuscripts or even as I'm reading published books. Some of these may be so subtle that the reader can't identify what is bothering them, but they know something is preventing them from loving your book. So today we're talking about focus in a scene. One thing I see writers do that takes a lot of the power out of their fiction is losing track of what role a given scene plays in their novel. Ideally, when you're writing a scene, you have an idea of not only what actions are taking place in a scene and how the scene moves your plot forward, but also the feelings that you want the scene to evoke in the reader. For example, imagine your characters have just fought the big bad or the big bad's minions, and they've been victorious, and it is a victory worth celebrating. Your protagonist and friends are being feted by the grateful villagers. They're being wined and dined and given gifts. Now, keep in mind, your characters have just gone through a battle. And if your writing is skillful enough, your reader went through that battle with them. Your reader wants that little mini reward of all the good feelings here. If your characters humbly and gratefully accept the fruits of their victory, your reader will be taking part in that celebration. Now imagine that instead, your protagonist starts to dwell on some wrong your protagonist may or may not have committed months ago, and the protagonist feels that they are just not worthy of any gift or reward and attempts to refuse the gifts offered. First of all, readers are going to cringe in sympathy for the villagers, having their gifts rejected in order for the protagonist to grandstand their mea maxima culpa. If you're writing realistically, your protagonist's allies and their villagers are going to be uncomfortable by the awkwardness, and the reader will be uncomfortable for them. I want to squirm just thinking about it. Now, both this awkwardness and the protagonist's wallowing in the guilt of the past steals the joy of the celebration from the reader. If this supposed wrong involves something that no logical person would blame them for, such as not being in time to save someone despite heroic efforts to get there, the reader is going to be extremely put out, possibly to the point of putting the book down and not coming back. The reader might not know what about the scene didn't work for them. It's not the reader's job to know. That's your job to understand and make sure that your reader instead reads right to the end and leaves the book feeling totally satisfied and ready to write you a good review. Another example, almost totally the opposite scene of above. So imagine your protagonist is in the middle of battle. Again, you're doing your job as a writer, and so the reader's holding their breath, heart racing. And then you put a paragraph or two about how much your character misses their home. Now, you might get away with a line or two where they think about the things they love and are fighting to protect. Although if you've done your job, the reader already knows the stakes and they don't need reminding. And that's where I think a lot of these errors come in, where the writer lacks confidence either in themselves or in the reader, And so they remind the reader constantly about the things they already know. But in our example, you don't stop at a line or two, but you write paragraphs, maybe beautifully written paragraphs, about the cozy hearth and the scent of baking bread and the loyal dog lying at their feet. Your prose can be as pretty and poetic as you please, but if it's at the wrong place, it not only doesn't help your novel, it can actually hurt it. You lose all the lovely tension that you just built up, and you leave the reader confused about what they should be feeling. Again, the reader might not know why the scene doesn't work for them. Well, if you do this often enough, you'll get comments about pacing that'll leave you confused. How can the reader find your book slow when there's so many action-packed scenes? Well, this is one possible reason. Now, there are some other things that can affect pacing, and we'll talk about them in later videos. But when I explain scene focus this way, it might seem obvious, and you think you would never make this mistake. But I can assure you, I have seen some very experienced writers make this very mistake. And these little things can be the difference between a book that a reader just wanders away from without finishing and a book the reader loves so much they tell all their friends about it. Now, this one's an easy fix. Initially, you might have to fix this in the editing stage. You'll want to carefully look at any in-scene flashbacks or any references in scene to past events and assess whether they add or detract from the feel and flow of the scene. When you get more experienced, you'll catch yourself in the writing phase, and eventually it will become second nature so that you don't have to think about it. Well, that's today's advice. I am always looking for topics to address. So if there's any element of craft that you'd like me to talk about, put it in the comments below. Also, a little bit later, I'll be doing some Ask Me Anything videos. And that's pretty much anything goes. You can ask me about something from my books. You could ask me to elaborate on one of my topics that I've covered. You could ask me about problems that you're having in your own writing. You could even ask me what my favorite color is. Purple, by the way. Now, if you have any questions that you want me to answer in the Ask Me Anything videos, you can put them in the comments below as well, and just label it AMA to say that you want it to be addressed in the Ask Me Anything videos. Obviously, I reserve the right to not answer questions that are too personal, so be nice. But I think it could be a fun experiment. We'll see how it goes. Now, this is a brand new channel, so it's really, really important that you like and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel. This tells YouTube that this is a video people want to see, and to start showing it higher in the searches. It's a free way to help me out, and I greatly appreciate it. If you're curious about my fiction, in the pinned comments below, you'll see the link for my Amazon author page that has all of my books for sale. You'll see the link for my author webpage, and that gives you the option to get a free novella by signing up for my newsletter. It also contains some contact information if you need to contact me about any of my editing projects, any editing projects you may have. I don't yet have a separate page for freelance editing. Finally, if you found this video helpful or entertaining, or if you'd simply like to help a witch out, there is a link that says, "Buy me a cup of tea." That allows you to put some money in my virtual tip jar. I'm not monetized as of the time of this video, so this is the only way that I would be getting any money from this. If you can't afford to, that's cool. I totally understand that, believe me. Appreciate you taking the time to sit here and watch with me. And until next time, put magic in your manuscript. What just happened?